But when you look to last summer, during June of 2025, there was a 12-day war between Israel and Iran, and we were reporting here on the ground.
Welcome back, guys, and let me make sure everything's checking out right here. Make sure everything looks right. Let's check the audio. All right. We are live. All right, guys. Today, first and foremost, welcome back to Poly Playback, where we what do we do? We watch, pause, and analyze. All right. Today we're going to be checking out what's going on in Iran. We're going to do a continuation of what happened yesterday. We're going to break some things down, and unfortunately, we had the first U.S. casualties on our side over here. Um, and that's unfortunate. But as President Trump said, that was kind of the expectation going into this. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and let's jump into what's going on right now. In fact, let me get my playlist lined up. I do have a playlist set up here. Give me just a second, guys. And let's run through the playlist. Here we go.
CENTCOM U.S. military officials confirming 3 U.S. service members have been killed, 5 others wounded as part of Operation Epic Fury. This coming amid growing turmoil in the Middle East as the U.S., Israel, and Iran trade fresh strikes after the killing of Iran's supreme leader. Iran targeting Israel and U.S. allies in the Gulf. Israel says 8 people are confirmed dead after a missile barrage there, and the United Arab Emirates is reporting 3 dead. Neighboring Arab countries are on high alert as protests break out at U.S. embassies and consulates. Tear gas was fired as protesters gathered outside the
When I hear that other countries are protesting, let's say calamity going down and whatnot, I always wonder, what part of the calculations am I not getting? Have I fallen victim to some of the propaganda? Because when I hear, hey, they just killed 30,000 of their people for protesting, my mind is just like, who would protest in favor of that regime? It doesn't make sense to me, but clearly, it makes sense to some people.
The U.S. Embassy in Baghdad and in Pakistan, several people were killed. We have extensive team coverage in the region and here in the U.S. But we begin with ABC News Chief International Correspondent James Longman in Istanbul, Turkey, with the very latest on this major escalation. James, we are just getting word of these first American casualties. What can you tell us about the American service members that were killed?
Yeah, that's right, Janae. The stakes in this conflict are just being raised every moment as this war continues and seems to spiral. We have a statement from CENTCOM, U.S. Central Command, saying as of 9:30 a.m. Eastern, March 1st, 3 U.S. service members have been killed in action and 5 are seriously wounded as part of Operation Epic Fury.
I remember reading it at for Sand News, Straight Arrow News. If you guys don't know who that is, yeah, 3 of our service members have been no longer with us. And from what I'm understanding, they're going to hold back on releasing names for the first 24 hours just to make sure that the family members are notified, because no one deserves to find out that their family members is no longer with us through the news.
Several others sustained minor shrapnel injuries and concussions and are in the
which will probably also mean that we won't get more information on it regarding where exactly these fatalities took place.
Process of being returned to duty. Major combat operations continue and our response effort is ongoing. It goes on to say the situation is fluid, so out of respect for the families, we will withhold additional information, including the identities of our fallen warriors, until the 24 hours after next of kin have been notified.
I could have just waited.
There is, of course, a huge American presence in the Middle East. I'm not going to speculate on where exactly these casualties may have occurred, but we know that there are a huge number of U.S. troops in the region, not just those that were sent by the White House, by Donald Trump over these last few weeks, but the permanent presence that the U.S. has all across this region, some 35,000 U.S. service personnel. You will remember, though, Janae, that when Donald Trump made his announcement that these strikes were happening, he did concede that there may well be U.S. casualties. He said the lives of courageous American heroes may be lost and we may have casualties. That often happens in war. He went on to say that this is something that needs to be done for the security of the United States. There's a suggestion that the war was launched to stop Iran from launching missiles at the US homeland and, of course, to neutralize whatever efforts the Iranians are making at rebuilding their nuclear capacity. That is the information we have at the moment on those US casualties. It just goes to show how serious the situation.
100%. It's like, a lot of people are more than willing to keep on fighting, until they lose someone on their own side. But, it's one of those things where you can't expect everything to go like it did in Venezuela. That's not realistic. And to be honest, it's one of those situations where if we expect to do something like this and not lose anyone, it might embolden us to do things we probably shouldn't. There's risk and there's reward. I mean, hopefully by the end of this, one of those rewards are a safer world in general, Yes, this bad.
Senator, if you could stand by with us, we want to bring in our chief national security correspondent, Jennifer Griffin. She's got some breaking news to add to what we are learning right now about this operation. Jennifer.
Sandra, I just spoke with a senior U.S. official that confirmed to Fox that the U.S. does believe that Ali Khamenei, the Ayatollah, was killed along with 5 to 10 top Iranian leaders in that initial.
Let's check out War Fronts. They just shot their update this morning.
It's day number 2 of the war in Iran, and the Middle East is devolving rather quickly. US and Israeli forces are thought to have launched multiple thousands of strikes across Iran as of the time of writing, and Iran has retaliated with wave after wave of drones and ballistic missiles.
And it's actually got even worse because now, because of what they've done, Saudi Arabia and a lot of the Gulf states have basically said, you know what, we reserve the right to respond in any way we seem fit, because before the attacks took place, a lot of those countries said, listen, you can't, referring to the United States, said, hey, you can't use our bases to attack Iran. And I'm assuming it's in hopes that, hey, you know what, maybe they won't come and attack us. Because, yes, we may have the United States military on our soil, but those attacks weren't launched from our soil. So, maybe you'll reconsider attacking us. Maybe I could find that video, actually. Let me see. Iran. Let me see. Iran attacks Dubai. Let's check that out. Because that was one of the things where it's just like, what are you doing? Let's check this out.
Oh no.
Look at that. Look at this.
Shit. That hit. That hit.
And these are countries. Now, these are countries that, they're like, hey, we don't want to be a part of this in the sense of you're not going to, use our land to launch your attacks and stuff like that. But at the exact same time, Iran didn't seem to care because they still went in there and attacked them.
Look, one more.
Look at that. In Dubai. Yep.
Oh yeah, that's coming towards us, looks like.
Look at that.
Ram, this is coming towards us.
Look at that. And again, this is after they said, you know what, we don't want to be a part of this. So let's not, let's try to avoid taking, basically allowing the United States to launch attacks from our land. Let me see. New York Post. Oh, this is from 2024. Hold on. Latest. know. This is from Dubai. That's just... Mm-mm. But yeah, guys, this is what they're doing. And again, I don't understand the sense that it really makes, because you do something like this, when you take people that were originally going to be, pretty diplomatic and basically say, we don't want to be a part of it, and you turn them into the same people that are going to come and say, you know what, maybe we should get rid of you, you know?
Yeah, and just while we're talking here, you can hear the air raid sirens have started again here in
Israel. Well, hey,
People
listen,
are in
we
bomb
can't
shelters.
we can't exactly be pissed off that Israel's getting their cup of tea right now, because at the end of the day, they took, yeah, they're a big piece of it. So this is kind of just retaliation at this point. But the other countries, it just makes absolutely no sense.
This very moment, and I'm just going to keep looking off as I speak to you here so we can get an understanding of where the incoming fire is located. Look, right now the Israelis understand that this is going to cost something. War is never easy. It's not going to be easy for the United States or for Israel, but they are doing what they can to neutralize the threat from the Iranian regime. We know that President Trump was very clear. He is calling on the people. And just
look at this.
Here we have interceptor rounds coming off right now.
Can you imagine this being where you live, guys? Every day, be grateful you live in the United States of America, man.
To shoot down this incoming ballistic missile fire.
Look at that.
Just stand by. These sirens sounding across the city. These air defense systems. There's one there, and one you can see just off screen. 3, 4. There are currently 4 different interceptors, from what I can see, that are chasing down these ballistic missiles and trying to shoot them out of the sky before.
And I really do believe that this time around they're kind of taking it pretty slowly. At least speaking about Iran, at least, because I feel like last time something like this happened, this was probably like, you know what, we're gonna go ahead and send everything we have, and there were thousands and thousands of missiles in there all at the exact same time. So this time they're saying they only sent like 300 or something like that, which is very strange to me. What's this? But yeah, man, get back to YouTube for some crazy happens on there. Let's check it out.
Across the region, cities and civilian targets are coming under attack, and in Iran, the man who ruled the Islamic Republic as supreme leader is now confirmed dead. The war in Iran is worsening by the hour, and we have no time to waste, so let's get into it. Lay of the land. At the outset of today's episode, we've got to give our usual disclaimer. Everything that we're about to discuss is accurate to the best of our knowledge and ability as of mid-morning on the 1st of March, local time in Tehran. That's just a bit past dawn in Central Europe and a bit after midnight on March the 1st in the Eastern United States. Anything that's happened after that time will not be accounted for in this episode, although at this point you can rest assured that we'll be back with more updates in the very, very near future. Now, across the Middle East, the offensive against Iran is unfolding very quickly. For perspective, US defense officials told American media that within just the first 12 hours of fighting, Washington had carried out nearly 900 strikes across Iran.
And that's what I mean. That's the kind of stuff I would expect from Iran. Meaning like 900 strikes. I'm hearing they probably sent 200-300 rockets, and they sent it to the most random places. You're sending it at hotels. Like, this is why they call you terrorists and the #1 state sponsor of terrorism. You're sending it at residential areas. You're sending it at hotels and airports.
According to Israeli sources, Jerusalem's first wave alone leveraged around 200 fighter jets, striking a total of around 500 targets. The two nations are believed to have hit targets in most of Iran's provinces at this time. According to Israeli sources, Jerusalem and Washington are dividing targets, with the Americans focused primarily on the Iranian military and its nuclear facilities, while the Israelis focus on Iranian leadership and its missile launch capabilities. In a statement to the global press, US Central Command, or CENTCOM, described its operation, codenamed Epic Fury, as, quote, the largest regional concentration of American military firepower in a generation. In response, Iran is believed to have fired several hundred ballistic missiles thus far, as well as large numbers of one-way attack drones. In Israel, the rate of Iranian attacks picked up substantially in the overnight hours, with several waves of attacks documented over the last 12 hours. Iran is known to have scored direct or partial hits, or otherwise caused damage through falling missile debris at US regional bases in Jordan, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and elsewhere. Bahrain in particular has seen multiple recorded direct hits, including a missile strike at the headquarters of the US Navy's Fifth Fleet, which was believed to have been mostly or fully evacuated over the last few days, and a kamikaze drone strike on a radar dome. In the early morning hours on March the 1st, the American airbase in Kurdish-controlled Erbil, Iraq, was struck with unknown munitions in what appeared to be a direct hit. Qatar, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and other nations have all announced their own successful missile interceptions, and both Israeli and US forces appear to have successfully intercepted dozens, if not hundreds, of incoming targets so far. For a bit of perspective, we should emphasize that the hits we've described thus far would be regarded as only mild damage relative to what's possible in a conflict like this. Even still, there are some notable commonalities between Iranian strikes thus far, specifically that they seem to be targeting US radar installations and other tools of situational awareness, possibly working to open a corridor for more substantial missile strikes later on. While the scope and targets of the US and Israeli offensive are still murky at this time, we do have some information on the strikes and engagements that have already taken place. US CENTCOM confirmed that American strikes have focused on military command facilities, airfields, and air defense capabilities, suggesting that the US is
they're trying to clear everything out. Clearing it out, make it safe to then focus on the nitty-gritty.
Focused on clearing out Iranian airspace and clearing a path for manned aircraft in the near future. Tacking onto that assessment, Israeli sources...
buddy, it's talking too slow. Let me see if I can find something else on here. What's this?
الجوي حتى عندنا نحسن عندنا الآن نصور أيوة بس الجوي ما له كله غاز وبترول.
I'm not sure. I don't know if that could be trusted. Let's see what else is going on.
من میهنانم.
What's he saying?
علی خامنه ای ضحاک زمان.
Okay, we don't understand what he's saying there. I'm not finding the good videos. All right, guys, we're gonna call it quits right here. I'm trying to figure out where to get some of the videos of all these attacks that are coming in. I want to see where those hotels got hit. Is this it? Yep. Yeah, this is it. Look at that. They're not going after military bases. That's the Burj Khalifa right there. Let's back that up. Yeah, that's the Burj Khalifa right there. And right next to it, that's what you have. I said, you know, a lot of people say Iran's probably going to try to go out with a big bang and try to take down all these other, you know, countries and draw them in and make them say, hey, get on top of the United States and tell them to knock it off. But from what I'm seeing, it just seems like you found a way to unite everyone against them.
We would have heard that.
That's crazy. Oh, there's another one. Where was this at? No, that was February. Yeah, it's yesterday. Where is this? Look at that. You know, one of those suicide drones. That's, if you wanted everyone to turn against you, this is what you do. Look at this. Look at that. I don't know what China's showing. See latest. See, with a lot of this stuff, it's hard to tell what's happened most recently. But yeah. But all right, guys, I'm gonna cut it off right here. See if we get some better. Oh, this is another one. This is a hotel. Yeah. Does this look like a military installation to you? This is a hotel, and this is what they chose to attack. It makes no. In a certain way, I guess they're trying to say, if we're gonna hurt, you're gonna hurt too. But that just makes no sense to me. Look at that. These are attacks from Iran hitting Dubai. Look at this. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna cut it off right here. Just wanted to share what's going on. Unfortunately, we lost 3 of our troops today, unfortunately, and it goes with the nature of war, guys. That's kind of just what it is. It goes with the nature of war, and unfortunately, it's probably not going to be the first. It's not going to be the last, and it's probably going to get worse from here. But at the very least, hopefully, by the end of it, we can get something that kind of looks like peace in the Middle East. All right, guys. Thank you guys for watching. I'm going to cut this one short. Probably come back later on for another quick one. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.